Welcome to educator.com. This lesson is about finding the percent of a number. In this lesson, you're going to learn to find the percent of a number. This is a very useful tool, and you'll see a lot of applications in your day-to-day life. For example, paying taxes or paying tips. A percent is a ratio that compares a number to 100. It's a portion of the number. Let's try finding some percents. Find 15% of 100. The best way to find percentages of a number is to change the percentage into a decimal. From the last lesson you'll learn to do that, you move your decimal to the left 2 places. So 15% is 0.15. That's the portion of 100. So I'm going to multiply this out. And 2 places. So 15% of 100 is 15. So the portion of 100 is 15. 10% of 135. Let's take 10% and change it into a decimal. So it's 0.10. We're going to multiply with that with 135. We have 0, come across zeros, and then 0 to hold the place, and then 5, 3, and 1. And 0, 5, 3, and 1 with 2 places. So 10% of 135 is 13.50. Notice that when it's 10%, you can also take the 135 and move your decimal. Since you moved it 2 places, move it 2 places. In your, since it's 10%, move it 1 place, so 13.5 here. I said 13.50 because this could be your dollar value. So if you were tipping 10% on $135, it'd be $13.50. Or since it's 10%, you could just move it 1 decimal place and make it 13.5, essentially dividing by 10. 8% of 65. So 8, change it into a decimal 2 places. So it becomes 65 times 0.08. That's going to be 40, 48, and 52 with 2 places, 5.2. 120% of 50. Notice that this is more than 100%, so our answer is going to be more than 50. So take 120%, find the decimal, 1.2. So notice at 1.2, the 1 means all of the 50, and then the 0.2 means an additional 20%. Hold the place, and then 5 times 0, 5 times 2 is 10, 5 and 6. And we have 2 places, so 60. So yes, 60 is more than 50, so that makes sense for 120%. Whenever you have a percentage over 100, it's going to be more than the original number. A bill costs $31.05 at a restaurant. Find the amount of tip to leave. In situations of leaving a tip, often it's good to be able to estimate percent because it doesn't have to be very exact. So first you want to estimate 10% as a reference. So the best way to do that is just to move your decimal 1 place. So that would be about 3.105. And I think the best estimate for that would be about $3.10. Now estimate 15%. Some people now leave 15% and some leave 20%. If you want to estimate 15%, take half, the 5%, take half of 310, which would be half of $3 is $1.50, and then half of 10 cents is 5 cents, so $1.55. And then add that, that's the 5%, to the 10%. So 310 plus 1.55 is $4.65. So if you want to tip 15%, you're going to tip $4.65. So a quick recap is we took the 10% as a reference and took half of the 10%, which is the 5%, and then added it back up together with the 10%, because the 10% plus the 5% gives us the 15%. and then estimate 20%. Well, that's pretty simple. Once you have 10% as a reference, you just double that. So 310 is 10%, and you're going to double that times 2 gives you 620, and that's your doubled percentage to 20%, so $6.20. So next time you're at a restaurant, you get a bill of $31.10, you could start off finding 10% as your reference. And to do that, it's very simple, just to move your decimal to the left one place. That'll give you the 10%, which you can estimate then to 3.10. And with that as your reference point, it'll be easy to find the 15% and the 20%. Find 7% of 120. So 7% as a decimal, I'm going to move it twice, is 0.07. I'm going to multiply that with 120 is going to be 0, 14, 7, 8 with 2 places, 8, 40. If you were looking for money, if not, just 8.4. 125% of 75. Remember that we said whenever your percentage is over 100, it's going to be larger than your original number. So my answer is going to come out larger than 75% because I not only have the 100%, which would be 75, I have an additional 25%. So let's take 125% and change it into a decimal. Move it left twice, so I have 1.25 times 75. 5 times 5 is 2, 10, 11, 12, 5, and 6. Hold the place. 7 times 5 is 35, 14, and 17, 7, and 8. 5, 7, 13, 9. 2 places, 93.75. And yes, 93.75 is larger than 75, so that makes sense. It's not only 100%, 75, it's even more, the extra 25%. So your answer is 93.75. Let's try estimating a tip of 15% for an $85.76 restaurant bill. So what I'm going to do here is take the 85.76 and I'm going to change it into 10%, which is going to be $8.58 about. So I'm going to call that $8.60. So 10% is $8.60. And I want to find an additional 5%. So what's half of $8.60? $4.30. And that'll give you 90 and 12. So you could leave $12.90 or you could leave about $13. So to estimate a tip for a restaurant bill, start off with 10% as your base, and then you could either double it for 20% or find half of it and add it to your original 10% for the 15%. Estimate a 20% tip for $32.95. So $32.95, I'm going to find 10%, which move the decimal over, is 3.295 or $3.30. This is 10%, so to double to 20%, I'm going to double 330, which will give me $6.60. So 20% would be $6.60. So next time you go to the restaurant, if you're with your parents or with your friends, you can try estimating the tip. Thank you for watching educator.com.